Hi, and welcome to Motatapu 2025. We are season 3, episode 2, and today we're focusing on mountain biking. Our last episode was all about running, but we're putting some tyres on, putting a helmet on, and heading towards the Motatapu Valley that runs from Wanaka through to Arrowtown and exploring this awesome course that is the Motatapu. Well, we've got Gemma, the race director, with me. How are you getting on today, Gemma?
Good, thanks, Richard. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks. Hey, thank you so much for taking the time to join us and share some stories around the Motatapu, etc. This is obviously you're right up to your elbows in regards to Motatapu at the moment. There's lots going on, I'm sure. How are the courses looking? How's everything shaping up out there? What are we? A couple of weeks to go as we record this.
Yeah, we're a couple of weeks out, and actually a couple of weeks ago managed to get through the valley course on some lovely Mondraker e-bikes, actually, which was a,
Oh,
a
good.
nice treat for us. Yeah,
Yes, yes,
and
yes.
Huntley, actually, the farm manager, has been in there with his digger right through to pretty much right through to Macetown, and he's tidied up some sections that have probably slowed people down the last few years, I'd say, and
Okay.
I reckon, depending on what happens the next few weeks, just in terms of we need to do some mowing of some sections, that grass
Yep.
section, we always need to tidy that up. Depending on
Yep.
what happens with that, I reckon we might be in for some fast times.
Okay, that's what people like to hear because Motatapu is one of
Yeah,
those like that 3 hour barriers. Really, like, can I hit that? Can I
yeah.
go under that? Can I improve my time from last year? And there has been some pretty good weather over the last couple of years. So sometimes it gets sharper and sharper and trickier. But if you kind of edit the course a little bit for us, that does help.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, he's been keeping an eye on some sections for a while and he's managed to get through there. And yeah, he's done a great job of tidying them up. So
Awesome.
it's great.
I was thinking bulldozing the grassy section. It doesn't sound like that's happened though. You've still kept that for us.
I did suggest that.
Yeah, did you?
But
Okay, yeah.
yeah, that hasn't happened. But we've got plans, and I do think the last couple of years we've probably got it right with the time of our mow
Mm,
and how it's turned out for race day. Like wasn't great a couple of weeks ago, but
yeah.
it's dried out dramatically in there, which in doing so is actually killing the grass that's on the track. So it's
Yes,
hard
yes, yes.
underneath.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do think it should turn out quite nicely for race day.
Okay. I like the sound of that. That does make a difference
Yeah.
because if it's not so thick, you do roll through there much
Yes.
better as
Yeah,
well. I like
exactly.
it.
Yeah.
And
You don't feel like
what?
you're getting a flat tire.
Yeah, what's the weather? I mean, you don't know the weather on the day, but things have been pretty hot and dry down your way. What are the river levels and things? Because that's obviously a key part of the course as well.
Yeah, Central, we've been really dry.
Yeah.
Had a very dry summer. Although when I went through 2 weeks ago, the streams right through the valley are the same as what they always are. They seem to be pretty consistent in their
Yeah.
depth.
Yeah.
And even the arrow was still, depending on which line you took, it can be up to your thigh, depending on
Yes.
what line you're taking.
Yeah.
All rideable, but yeah, it just sort of depends what happens the next few weeks. But even with
Yeah.
this dry weather, those streams are still seem to be what they normally are. So,
Nice. And how was the Mondraker e-bike rolling through the course? Is it the first time you've
oh,
ridden an e-bike through there?
uh, first time on a Mondraker e-bike,
Yeah.
and so good. I had so much battery left at the end too. Like I actually was like, geez, I should have been using a bit more battery. So
I didn't need to huff
I
and
was
puff so
really
much.
surprised. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
surprised at how the batteries went. And I mean, we had to get through that grass section without any prep done on it, so that was a bit slower
Mm.
for us.
Yeah.
Um, I love them. I haven't got an e-bike, but it definitely made me think maybe I need to keep this.
Yes, yeah. Well, that's the thing, isn't it? When full suspension was invented, all of a sudden mountain biking become fun again because we went rattled to bits. Feels like that's happening again with e-bikes. It just brings the fun factor back, and all of a sudden I can go further, do more, head up the hill again.
Yeah, no, it was great. So I would like one. Um, but yeah, I haven't quite made the switch over yet.
Yeah, good stuff. No, that's fantastic. So, for those that are maybe watching this, maybe sitting on the fence, what's the story in terms of entries? Are there still some left? And if so, when do entries close?
Yeah, cool. So the race is on Saturday, the 1st of March,
Yep.
and
Yep.
we have the mountain bike option, which does have an e-bike category. The e-bike category is actually 90% full. So if you're keen on the e-bike, it is a great way to see the course on the e-bike.
Yep.
You do still need to
Yep.
do a bit of prep. And then we also have plenty of space in the bike in the, I suppose you'd call it the analog field, the regular
Yeah.
e-bikers,
Yep.
the
Yeah. Yep.
kidlets.
Yeah.
And we also have space in our running events, all except the Ultra. The Ultra is actually sold out, and we're opening
Okay.
until the 21st of Feb for entries.
Perfect. That's awesome. And there's rumor has it that I might have just put my entry in for the marathon as well,
Yeah,
Gemma.
see, that's very good.
I'm not sure. I'm very much from a mountain bike background myself. Like if I can ride it, I probably wouldn't put my hand up to run it. But this time, yeah, we're going to go and have a crack. This just between you and me. This is going to be my first ever marathon. I've done one in Dunedin back in the old days.
Oh,
Tick the box, job done. And then I've done another one because I had to do an Ironman and I had to precede that with
yeah.
a swim and a bike. So that's two. So this will actually be my third, maybe third and final. I'm not sure, but
Oh, cool.
we'll
I
see
didn't
how that
realize
one
that.
goes. Yeah. As
Well,
long
you'll
as
be
it
with
doesn't
the
look as
bikers as well. So,
right. Okay, so how does that go?
the bikers are actually on the course before the marathon runners, but
Yeah.
you will likely come across some bikers out there.
Okay. Right. Good. Okay. So I probably will because I'll be out there for a while. Is that what you're saying? No, we'll be
No, because you'll catch
we'll be
up with
catching
some.
them. Ah,
Yes.
right. Okay. That's
There are,
a bit of a.
this course is open once a year, so some people really take their time and stop at the aid stations and enjoy the valley. So you
Yep.
might catch up.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. As long as I don't look as bad as what I did when at the end of the Ironman marathon. Like I thought I was going okay, and then looked at the video afterwards, like, oh, that's pretty ugly. Probably shouldn't have seen that. So no, that sounds awesome. And exactly that. Like a friend who was pretty unwell after cancer. This was his first event back into it, and we cruised through. We stopped. We had to picnic up that top of that sharp little climb, cheered some other people on, and just made the most of it. So you don't have to rush through at a million miles an hour and do the best time in the world. You can actually just get out there and enjoy it. What's the cutoff times at the other end of the scale? Do you have to be through in 6 hours, 7 hours? What do we need to do there?
There's definitely cut-off times. Off the top of my head, I can't remember them.
Yeah.
But there's cut-offs for the mountain bike, and then there's cut-offs for the marathon, and it's at the first two aid stations. Aid station 1 has a cut-off, and then aid station 2, and you get turned around and sent back out with our volunteers. To be honest, they're fairly generous cut-off times. So I think as long as people have done some prep, they should get through. And we have tail end volunteers, so they can kind of help you keep tabs on, hey, you need to push a bit harder to get to this next point before you get cut off, sort of thing.
Yeah, good. Okay, well, that's good as well. So you can sort of shimmy along if you've got the picnic mat out to sort of keep rolling along. Yeah, that's good. So in regards to speaking of fast times and things, who is shaping up for the men's field? We've got Cam Jones we're going to talk to in a moment, but who else? So Cam Jones is obviously going to be pushing the boundaries in the event this year. Who else is sort of on the start list from the elites?
So we've got Levi Gear back. He rode last year and came second or third.
Cool.
And so he knows the course, so that will probably come to his advantage because I don't think Cam's rode it before. And we've also just got Eddie Adams has just signed up today as well, actually. So, and I'm not sure if Eddie's done it before or not.
I did see him at the Cycle Nationals, I think. Was he riding that? So obviously he knows what he's doing on a bike and going pretty well at the moment in the summer.
Definitely knows what he's doing on a bike. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So yeah, no, that's awesome.
The men's field's actually looking really good.
Yeah. And what about the female? What about the women's?
So actually Maria Laurie's just signed up and she was a champion of Coronet Loop last year.
Yes.
And she's never rode the valley before, so she's coming to give that a crack.
Cool.
And I have been trying to get Kate back.
Yes.
Fluker, now Boe, back.
Yeah.
She's our record holder in the females.
Right. Yep.
So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
And we've got Kim Hurst, who's local. She's also done well on Coronet Loop the last couple of years. She's not been through the valley either, which being a local, we can't let her get away with that. So she's going to get on there.
Yeah, good.
And young up-and-comer Ziana Roberts, 17-year-old. I think she'll be one to watch out for as well.
Okay, good. So potentially some records being broken across that, and some hot times at the front of the field.
I think so, especially with the little bit of digger work that Huntley's done on that track. I do think it's primed for some records to go.
Yeah, nice. Good stuff. Right. Well, speaking of fast times and strong legs, let's bring Cam Jones into the fold and have a bit of a chat to him about his preparation and what he's looking forward to in regards to race day. How are you getting on, Cam?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Richard. Yeah, it was good to see you last weekend down at Coast to Coast.
Yes.
A good last hit out for Motatapu.
Yeah, good stuff. So tell us about, I guess, your summer. You've been in the US across our winter racing, doing a whole bunch of gravel races and things like that as well, pushing the boundaries and showing a few people who's boss, etc. So tell us about your prep. How are you going at the moment? How's your Kiwi summer been?
Yeah, so I've had a shorter Kiwi summer than most. Last year I spent 8 months in the States. The first half was racing on and off road. And then the last 4 months I was completing my university studies on exchange. So that meant I was in the States for a bit of their winter, which was challenging at times. But yeah, it was super nice to get back to a Kiwi summer and right after Christmas.
Yeah.
So yeah, since then it's been full-time training really. Started off with a big old 40-hour week back in Jan and sort of been doing 25 to 30 since then. So yeah, been covering some good miles and yeah, just making the most of this lovely Kiwi summer.
Good stuff. So tell me about that 40-hour week. I did follow it actually. So you decided, okay, well, 40-hour work week, I'm here just to ride my bike, so I better do 40 hours of work. And which actually took you down the West Coast. You rode home, I think, did you? Was that right, from Queenstown or something?
Yeah, we were in Wanaka for New Year's. So, I think start of the week off did the 3 peaks. So down around where Motatapu is, rode up Coronets, Remarkables and Crown Range each way from Wanaka. And then, yeah, the family went home back to Nelson. So I carried just like shorts and t-shirt and booked a couple of nights in hostels on the way home and did the commute home in 3 days. So sort of 8, 9 and 7 hour days. So yeah, it was a lovely way to see some of the coast that I've driven many times, but never ridden. So that was fantastic. Tailwind all the way.
I was going to say, the cycle gods were in your favour as well. There was no rain, there was no headwinds. You were just rolling along at, what did I see, an average of like 34 k's an hour for the whole trip or a particular day?
Yeah, it was like 33 first day, 34 the second day. So yeah, there's a bit of sort of luck there, which I'm sure will go against me the next time I do a point-to-point ride. But yeah, I was loving the tailwind.
Yeah, good stuff. I'm sure there's some legs there that also carry you through that. I don't think it's all just tailwind to be able to achieve that. But how have you got? So you did that big week. Have you been on the trails a little bit? Like, you love riding your mountain bike, don't you? You love getting out in the hills. How's your training been sort of since then?
Yeah, this summer it's mostly been on the road and gravel bikes, really.
Yeah.
Actually, my mountain bikes had been repaired since I think mid-December was the last time I rode it in the States.
Okay.
But yeah, I managed to get out on my dad's enduro bike, and lack of mountain bike hasn't stopped me hitting the trails. The gravel bike goes pretty good down the local single track too. So yeah, I was asking around about how the gravel bike would go at Motatapu, but not many people thought that was a good idea.
If there's anybody who could ride it. Yeah. Yeah. How did it go relative to sort of? Yeah, it has been done, but how did it go, Gemma, from your perspective in regards to the mountain bike?
The gravel bike. So I think a couple of people have done it and they've regretted it.
Okay.
I mean, the first 10K is perfect for gravel bike. The rest of it's not.
Yeah. Okay, right. If there was a man that could ride a gravel bike fast over that terrain, I'm sure it's you, Cam Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this year I'll scope out the course. I've never been through there, so it's hard to know. But yeah, in the future, if you get some big tires and a little wee gravel fork, it could be an option. But yeah, I've heard that like the big gears on a gravel bike aren't really needed, and so there's not a whole lot of advantage. Like the speeds aren't quite high enough.
So what's drawn you to the Motatapu? Obviously, you haven't done it before for whatever reason. What are you most looking forward to, and what's drawn you to turn up and put your toe on the start line this time around?
Yeah, it's just such an iconic New Zealand race, and yeah, I'm always attracted by races that go places you can't ride usually. Yeah, it's pretty cool to be able to link like Glendew Bay through to Arrowtown. I've done all the other riding around the Southern Lakes area, and yeah, this is one of the last routes still on my list. And yeah, just so much history in it. Like I was going back through some of the results and seeing like where the record times were, and seeing some of the Stravas from past times to see if I could find a live segment to chase or something for the record. And yeah, there's certainly been a who's who of New Zealand mountain biking on the top of the result sheets over the years. Historically, I've done Karapoti Classic this weekend.
I see.
But this year we have a family event down there before Motatapu, so it made sense to give this one a crack instead.
Yeah, good stuff. So looking at that list, the who's who of New Zealand mountain biking, do you know, or Gemma will probably know if you don't, who has got the current record? Do you know what it is, and what are we chasing?
Yeah, it's Dirk Peters in 2013 with 1 hour 48.
Jeepers. Right. That's insane. I was going to say, you've got no idea whether that's going to be good or not good. Clearly, it's super fast. And Gemma's been trying to help you sort of make sure the course is super fast as well. But how will you look to ride it? How will you look to race it? Because obviously you've got some pretty strong opposition that are going to be sort of there or thereabouts as well. How are you going to kind of break it down and actually, are you going to race it, or is Cam Jones going to just do his own thing as a time trial?
Oh, there's certainly going to be some strong other competitors. Who you're just saying then, young Eddie Adams was signed up, so no doubt he'll be flying. I guess you're always quicker in a bunch. So yeah, I assume there's some parts of the course where everyone would be faster if we stay together. But yeah, I'm also not afraid of a time trial. Did a few of them last weekend down at Coast, and if I find some numbers or like checkpoints to try and stay on sort of record pace, then I won't be waiting for anyone.
yeah, good stuff. So you obviously do.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, you obviously do your research just by knowing what the previous best time is and who's done it and things like that. Will you look to break the course up into its bits, so you sort of have sections that you're going to try and ride? Like, you're not going to know exactly how it runs, but you're going to know where the aid stations are. Do you try and break the course up like that so you have a bit of a race plan for yourself?
Yeah, I think the main way of breaking it up is the uphill and then the downhill, because it looks like there's a few peddly parts on the downhill, but you really need to pace it, so you've given everything you have by the top, and then a chance to recover on the downhill to get you through the final bits of pedaling. So yeah, I don't know if it's an hour 50, then it's probably an hour 20 or something effort of hard pedaling. So you're sort of pacing for that rather than the whole distance. So have an idea of maybe some power numbers and some averages that are realistic. So yeah, could aim for that, but yeah, really like an hour 20, hour 30 efforts compared to some of the racing I'm doing is a bit of a sprint. So yeah, just be going all out.
Nice. So speaking of that, like you like with your gravel riding that you've done in the States and things like that, how long are they taking generally? Like what sort of time have you been out on your bike racing?
Yeah, most of my key races are around about 5 hours, but there's a few which will be sort of 7 to 10 hours. So yeah, they're big long days on the bike, and the intensity is probably not quite what I used to do mostly, which is the XCO racing. That would be probably more similar to Motatapu. And yeah, I haven't done any cross country racing this summer yet, which is new for me. Usually I would have done some of the national series and be training for the national champs, but having a break from that this year and just focusing on getting some miles under the belt.
Yeah.
So yeah, this will be certainly a shock to the system, I think, racing for such a short time. But yeah, racing coast on the weekend, there were some short efforts there. So yeah, the legs seem to hold up all right.
Nice. So how do you prepare for this? Like, what are there a couple of key sessions that you look to do to sort of get used to that hurt locker at the top end? What do you do to prepare? Sort of, I guess it's a little bit of advice from others as well, and sort of trying to steal some ideas of you to sort of get Motatapu ready.
Yeah, I'll certainly try and do some VO2 max efforts. So sort of in the 1 to 3, 4 minute range, and doing them to back without heaps of recovery, because by the looks of it, the first part of the course has some steep pinches followed by little descents, and it'll be quite undulating. So making sure you're able to go full gas up the pinches and roll down the other side and then go again. And especially if there's a bunch of other fast guys, maybe some sort of attacks going. So being able to recover and go hard again. So I'll certainly be doing some of those efforts next week, and then on race week as well. I've also signed up for a couple of gravel races between now and then. So on Saturday this week, I'm doing the Graveler in the Springs, which is
cool.
That'll be about 4 hours, and then might do a local gravel race in Alexandra the week before Motatapu, which is a bit shorter, around about 57 Ks, but probably similar time length to the Motatapu, being a flatter and faster course. So that'll be another perfect hit out.
Nice. So coming in race ready, like it's no better way to do those high end efforts and trying to chase other wheels and get around the course as fast as you can. So that'll put you in good stead for race day, hopefully.
Yeah, for sure. You can't beat race efforts. No matter how hard you try in training, just having someone else to chase, or time to chase, or someone to run away from, gives you a little bit of extra motivation. So
it does. Yeah, the red mist, and I think we're all aware of that, and maybe it's a little bit of a be careful of that if you're listening to this and you're lining up for Motatapu. Just be careful of the red mist. You're like, I've got this plan, but then all of a sudden the gun goes and all these people beside me and I'm feeling quite good right now, and then all of a sudden it can start to unravel pretty quickly if you haven't prepared for that red mist or done any sort of too many other efforts with others.
Yes, certainly embrace the race day nerves and use them to your advantage. It's always exciting lining up with so many other people. So you always get a few extra watts just from race day.
Yeah, nice. So I do need to ask, Cam Jones, you are going to ride the Motatapu as fast as you possibly can and ride like you stole it. But then what happens? Obviously, you're going to be lounging out on the grass for a little bit, and that is the beauty of Motatapu, the finish line in Arrowtown there. So you'll be soaking up that. But what, do you ride back to the car after that, or do you do that via the Coronet Loop and then go back to the car over the Crown Range? What happens next? How do you get home again?
Yeah, actually, it's quite cool this year. My mum and dad are both racing. And they had some idea of me going and picking up the car in Wanaka. So,
Perfect.
I'll probably be trying to add on a little bit of extra riding that day.
Okay, good. So if you're, so basically we'll put it out there. So if you're driving, you've done your race. So obviously you'll hang around, wait for mum and dad to finish probably, and then head over. So if you are driving back to Wanaka, do not open the door. Do not let Cam Jones back in, but do give him a bit of a toot and a friendly, well done, you're going well, Cam, and maybe ask if he needs a bit of a top-up of his drink.
No, I might be looking for a way out, so don't let me have it.
Don't open that door. Hey, well done, Cam. I look forward to seeing how it goes, and all the best in the next couple of weeks preparing, and look forward to sharing the Motatapu Valley with you in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Yeah, look forward to checking it out as well, and good luck for everyone's preparations. I'll see you down there.
Good job. Well done. Cheers for joining us. Thanks, Cam.
Cheers, Cam.
Thank you.
Just like that. He's pretty enthusiastic. He loves riding his bike, doesn't he? That's the best part about Cam Jones.
Yeah, so good. I love that his parents are doing it too.
Yes. Yeah. We should have had them on the show as well, Gemma.
Well, yeah, that's part of Motatapu is like it's for everyone, you know. So yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, yeah. That's good. But I do think his parents have got a great plan about, oh, could you just whip back and pick up the car as well? I don't think that would happen many
Yeah, yeah.
families, would it?
We'll just have a couple more beers here, and you go get that car.
Yeah, exactly. That's so good. And we talked about the race, and Cam, it's his first time through the valley. But as we mentioned in the women's start list, potentially Kate Fluker. Now Kate Boe has done it plenty of times. She's won the women's event 7 times, I think. So she knows this course inside out. She's a Queenstown local and loves everything about the event. So should we catch up with Kate now as well? Maybe Gemma.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Let's go. Hey, Kate, how are you getting on this evening?
Hey, great. Thanks, Richard. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Hey, so thank you so much for joining us. Really keen to have a chat to you around the Motatapu. You've done it lots of times. You've been at the pointy end of the field for pretty much every time you've turned up. You've won it lots. Do you have any idea how many times you've got across the finish line first?
Oh, I don't. Maybe seven, and then the first year I got second. So
okay.
Yeah.
So that shows you, just like, if you can't remember how many times you've won the thing, you know what you're doing. You've been out there, you've pushed your body hard across those years, which is pretty awesome. So obviously you're pretty experienced and you understand what that's about. So there's probably no better person to talk to in terms of getting a feel for how we actually get the most out of ourselves where we're heading across the course. So I guess my first question to you is, how do you pace yourself for your best performance? It's really easy in a race like this. There's always lots of others around at the start line just to get too excited early, but it's 47 Ks and 3/4 of that seems to be kind of up as well. So how in the past have you gone about pacing yourself to make sure that you could do your best?
Well, I think I've actually tried every single angle of pacing myself for this race. I've tried not pacing at all, and then I've paced too much. So yeah, I think if you get it right in terms of not going too hot off the start, which is what I always do, and then rather than just being constantly passed and you start to feel a little bit degraded, just set yourself off where you're comfortable. It is very uphill at the beginning, and then it gets to the middle, which everybody knows about, the grassy slope of doom. And then once you get through that, it really does feel like you're home. While a lot of people say it is all downhill at the end, it isn't. There's still a couple wee pinches to get you back, but majority of the last third is feeling pretty downhill by that point.
Mm-hmm. I guess you're training for that fast start. That's generally how most mountain bike events work, don't they? Like, it's a dash to the single track generally,
yes.
Whereas this isn't so much a dash to the single track, but you do want to be on some wheels, following some other riders, but just ride your own race. Would that be what you'd suggest?
Yeah, and getting on someone's wheel is good advice. It's really helpful. It keeps you in a good headspace. You've got someone to talk to. And it can just drag you through a wee bit. Yeah, I think as long as you're not burning all your matches to keep up, then that's great. But if you're riding a comfortable pace, particularly in that first third where there's all the hills, then yeah. You're doing well.
So do you break it up into thirds for yourself? Would you say the first third where it's so quite pinchy and hilly, and then the grassy slope of doom, as we've called it all of a sudden, which I think is fantastic, and then the sort of final third, which is the downhill?
Yeah, that's right. That's how I kind of get through it in my head. The second third for me is the hardest. It looks flat, but it's not. It's slightly uphill, and it feels like it should be a lot easier. It's not technical, but the grass just tends to grip your wheels a wee bit, and it's slow. So I know a lot of, the first year I did that was my hardest bit mentally, was just to get through that. And then once you get to the Soho descent, it's all easier. Well, the Soho descent can get some people, but you're on firm ground again. Your wheels are rolling. Yes,
that's right. So we spoke about pacing. You've mentioned that you've tried all different strategies, pacing a bit probably slow, gone a bit hot early. Most of us will make the mistake of going too hot early. how have you got yourself back from that? Like, oh no, what have I done? I've gone too hard, maybe in that first third, and you've got nothing to give across that middle third. How have you managed that mentally?
Oh, I can tell you 90% of the times I've raced it, that's what I've done. So,
Okay.
yeah. Oh, I broke it down into segments. So not just the thirds, but into smaller blocks as well. And
Okay.
particularly on that grassy, have you watched Finding Nemo before? And Dory the fish is going, just keep swimming.
I think everybody
I'm
knows
doing,
that. Yeah.
yeah, I get into my head and like just keep pedaling. That's what I think about. And I also know that after that bit's done, it's all fairly fun and
Yeah.
fast. And
Hmm.
it's just about keeping positive and knowing that everybody else is hurting. You're not, you're not dying any more than anybody else. Everyone's in this same suffer fest, and just to get through it, just keep
That's
eating.
right.
I think is
Yeah.
super key. I try to have a gel every hour, and then something in between. So every half an
Hmm.
hour, I'm putting or half an hour to 40 minutes, I'm having a bite of something.
Yeah.
And it's not a lot, but it's just something to keep topped up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an important point where you say that everybody else is doing. It's slow for everybody. I think it's a little bit like that whole tailwind versus headwind thing. Like, yeah, in a headwind, you get down on yourself because you're like, I'm going
Yeah.
so slowly, but actually, it's hard for everybody. It's the type of thing. If you
Yes.
were to have a power meter on your bike, you're like, actually, I'm doing well here, but when you're
Yeah.
going slowly, you start to get down on yourself because actually I'm going slow. But it's not about that. It's about the effort, isn't it? And just staying in the moment. That's where you just keep pedaling, but comes in.
Yeah, that's right. And I had a big lesson with that at a nationals one year. I was absolutely in the box. It was the final lap, and my husband said to me, the person behind me, they were like, "She's dying too. Keep going." And I was like, "Okay, this is what it's meant to
Let's
be.
go.
It's meant to be hard. It's meant to be a challenge. It's you earn the right to cross that finish line." So
Yep. Yes.
yeah,
Yeah. Good stuff. Nice.
yeah,
So, and you spoke a little bit about nutrition, a gel every 45 minutes, and a little bit of something in between that as well. So, what about like sports drink? Are you taking a Camelback? Are you doing bottles? Are you doing? How are you kind of managing that? Because that's part of the picture as well, isn't it?
yeah. When I was racing, like I wanted to be as light as possible, right? So I did have bottles. I had 2 cages on my bike.
Yeah.
And then I just had everything in my pockets and then all the gear strapped to my bike. Um,
Okay.
I found I found that quite good until I got used to a Camelback. I started
Yes.
training with it a lot more, and I just found the ease of it, having it right there, was really good. So
Hmm.
I think it's really up to each rider.
Yeah.
And I guess the time frame you're going to be out there, you don't want to run out of fluids. So
Hmm.
for me, whatever my time was, I think was enough to just have bottles. But if you're going to be out there for 5 hours, I'd take a Camelback, I'd say.
Yes, yeah, 100%. That's really good advice. Like, you're not out there for particularly long in the events that you've done in the past, so it's therefore your hydration and nutrition strategy is quite a lot different than others. So
Yeah.
yeah, but I do the ease of just putting the tube in your mouth, having a drink, and then spitting it out does
Yeah.
make a big difference, doesn't it? Rather than having to
It's
try and find the drink bottle cage again.
yeah. Oh, I know. And on the bumpy ground, and you're fumbling, and then you drop it, and like if you're
Yeah.
really practiced at it, it's all good. But just I think it's not going to be a make or break carrying a Camelback.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. What about river crossings? That's a key part of the Motatapu, isn't it? There's your straightforward river crossings, the fords early on, and then they get
Yeah.
a bit trickier down the track. There's more of them, and it's not just a straightforward, straight ahead. You can actually ride most of them if you take the right lines. What are some tips for you that you would give around getting through the river crossings as best as you can?
Um, Look for the rough water as much as you just want to go to the calm stuff. That's where it's deep, so you're gonna
Okay.
obviously the water's going to be up around your feet way quicker.
Yep.
And also try your best to ride downstream, so you're going with the water.
Hmm.
Um, easier said than done, I know. But and then if you come off, if you get your feet off, just get off and run, because the time it takes to get back on your bike and try to get going again in the water is really difficult. So don't stress
Yep.
about it. I think I still ran heaps of them. I just, and especially if you're a bit tired, and you just running can be just as quick.
Yeah, nice. What about the early ones? Do you take those early ones at pace, like full gas, and just sort of try and pick the line and just close your eyes and hope for the best? Is it and water's coming up over your head? How are they generally
Uh,
going for you?
just trying to remember that. Yeah, no, I do. Yeah, because they're not wide, right? You can just get
Yeah.
through them, and then they're.
Yes,
But
yes,
yeah,
yes.
those wider crossings are way harder. But yes, just watch the person in front of you. I guess be ready for that water, like to kind of cut your pace a wee bit.
Hmm.
Because a lot of people can hit water and then pop over the bars. But so just be a
Yeah,
bit
yeah.
prepared for that.
And potentially give the rider in front a little bit of space, because you either want to do
Definitely.
what they're doing or maybe definitely not do what they've just done.
Yes.
If they've ended
Yeah.
up in the creek.
If they've chosen a bad line, you don't want to be following. And if they've chosen a good one, you do. So yeah, that's good advice. Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. So you've recently become a mum. You've got a couple of little
I
ones, one
have.
and a 3-year-old, which is pretty
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
How has training been? How's life been trying to? Because you went up to Rotorua end of last year and did the Waka 50 and accidentally managed to win that. How have you gone? Just sort of balancing motherhood and also doing a bit of riding as well.
It's not easy. But I have a very supportive husband. He does his things and I do mine.
Yeah.
We don't do so much together anymore, but we know that that time will come back. But I did a lot of Zwift. The Waka was in October, so it was all winter training, right? So
Yeah.
down here, I'm sure up there as well, it's dark early.
Yeah.
It's so a lot of Zwift, and I only rode an hour most days. I would have probably 1 or 2 days off in the week, and I did one of their programs, and I actually found it amazing. It was super effective, efficient time on my bike, and they just seem to get the balance of intensity and recovery rides correct. Like it reminded me a lot of what I did back in the day, but just on a smaller scale.
Yes, good. And what about the
Yeah.
summer for you? What has your training looked like with a couple of little ones charging around the house and
Pretty much
maybe
the
not a
same.
huge amount of sleep either?
Oh, I'm actually very lucky with the sleeping with my babies, but
Okay.
no, it's the same. Like I would get on Zwift when my kids were asleep, and have the monitors next to me so I know when they woke up. And then I could manage to get out for one longer ride, like when I say long, like 2 hours, which is nothing on what I used to do. Just one in the weekend.
Nice.
And like for preparing for the race, I just made sure I get some good hills in. So I think that's an important one for the Motatapu is get some good hills in, because the start third is what we talked about. It's got some good climbs in there.
Yes. So learn to grovel up a hill. Like they're not super, super long compared to some, but they are tough, aren't they? And
Yes,
I guess
they
the
are.
faster you go, the harder they become. But knowing what a hill feels like to be able to pace yourself up it is super important.
That's right. Yeah.
Good stuff. So that's good. What's a key training session that you do pre-Motatapu? Obviously, you race this at the highest level before. What's this key kind of training session you do a few weeks out to make sure that you're Motatapu ready?
Pause with me, Richard. My computer's gonna die.
Okay, do that.
Sorry about that.
No, you've done well.
Why is that not clipping in? Anyway, so my key training sessions were threshold sessions. So they were the 10 minutes in zone kind of 4 with a break in between. And I think the max I'd do was probably like 4 or 5 in a session. And then making sure I recover well from that. I found the XC racing overseas was like short, sharp, a lot more VO2. And like it's probably good to incorporate a wee bit, but I found the 10 minutes at threshold is what I found most effective for me.
Yes, for Motatapu specifically. So the overseas stuff was harder and shorter, whereas this is and that would mainly be done up a climb, I take it, like that.
Yes,
challenging climb
was perfect for that. Yeah.
Perfect. No, that's awesome. No, it's good advice. So pre-Motatapu, make sure you get out, ride some climbs, but doing them as an interval. So you probably go up and maybe even above what you used to, just so then there's no shock when you get to Motatapu, and hopefully that cramp stays at bay for a little bit longer.
Yeah, because you're not going to be racing zone 4 the whole time. So if you can hold that for 10 minutes in certain blocks, then I think it conditions your body pretty well.
Yes, that's awesome. And any other advice, any other tips for people that are turning up for maybe their first crack or trying to do their best at Motatapu this time around? Whoops, and I think we might have just lost Kate. Just like that, anyway, we'll have to have a chat to her and maybe pass that last tip on for her, but from her. But a big thank you to Kate, and let's get back to Gemma on the show. And just like that, that was Gemma. Gemma actually messaged me around some of these answers earlier, and her message was tell people to look around. It's beautiful in there, and not everyone gets to see. And also make sure you make the most of the aid stations. They're absolutely awesome as part of the event. How's the aid station shaping up, Gemma?
Yeah, so through the valley, there's going to be 4 aid stations, and that'll have water and pure electrolytes and some EMS bars as well.
Yep. And there's a dress up. Is there a dress up competition, or is it just the guys in the first aid station that do that? What happens there?
They've taken it on themselves to do a dress up every year, and they do a good job. So I should probably make a competition of all the aid stations and then get the athletes to vote, maybe.
I think so. I think even just because you're further in, like maybe there's more love to be had later on. So they've definitely maybe got a bit of an extra help there towards the end, as maybe people spend more time at that last aid station. But it's further to take their dress ups as well. So.
Well, they all go on the night before in camp, so it's a great outing for those volunteers, and they love it. So yeah, I might encourage the old dress up across the board.
Yeah, there we go. You heard it here first. I look forward to that. I will see what happens in that regard. Yeah, that's awesome. One of the things around Motatapu, like obviously the Motatapu is, like Cam said, like Kate said, it's the only time of the year you get to ride through there. But Queenstown Wanaka have got some fantastic trails as well. So one of the things we're looking to do is just have a weekend of it down there. But any recommendations around our weekend and how we make the most of it, Gemma?
Yeah, there's awesome trails down here. We our charity of choice actually is the Queenstown Trails Trust, and they've got a massive network down here. We're very lucky. And on the other side, Wanaka Upper Clutha Trails Trust, they also have a great network. One of the newest trails that the Queenstown Trails Trust have brought in is the Coronet Loop, which we actually have previously done a race around there, but we haven't. We're not racing it this year, but that'll be open on Sunday, so I would highly recommend getting around there. Great single track, more technical than the Valley ride that we're offering. So yeah, I'd definitely say stay and do some riding or running.
Yes. Yeah. I'm going to run on Saturday, but hopefully my legs are capable of riding on Sunday. Otherwise, I'll be quite sad. But yeah, definitely a good plan to go and make the most of it, because it's a good excuse to get down and be part of the event and the adventure and the chilling out on the green at the end, but then also getting in riding your mountain bike again the next day. Pretty awesome. And hopefully the Motatapu doesn't take the sting out of your legs too much.
Yeah, hopefully not. I'm sure you'll be right, Richard.
We'll see. I'll just grovel and suffer. No, to do that anyway. Any final comments, Gemma, as we lead into the Motatapu in the last week or two? Or you might be listening to this as you drive down to the Motatapu.
Yeah, actually what Kate was saying was some great advice. She's obviously rode that course a lot of times, and she's broken it down so many times as well from a real race perspective. But enjoy it, I suppose, is the thing. We do give once a year access to this area, so it is a privilege to ride or run through here, depending on what you're up to. So yeah, enjoy it, I suppose. And if you're not taking part, maybe you could sign up to volunteer or come down to Arrowtown and cheer home all the athletes. We want to create a real nice atmosphere at that finish line. So cheer home the athletes.
Yeah, and just hang around at the finish line as well. Like, it makes a massive difference when people are there. As part of it's all full and things like that as well. And you do a great job of your food vendors and things. And the various sponsors have their products and things to have a look at the finish line as well.
Yeah, totally. It's a pretty good vibe down in Arrowtown, and it is busy all day because we've got so many different races. So yeah, I encourage you, if you're not racing, to come down to that finish line.
Good job. Hey, well done, Gemma. Thanks for joining us this evening, and all the best with your busy next couple of weeks. I hope it goes well. And if you haven't already, make sure you get your entry organised, and we'll see you down in Motatapu on the 1st of March.
Thanks, Richard.
Good job. Well done. Cheers, Gemma.
See ya.